Hey everyone, this video is going to be a tutorial type of video where I will teach you about the useState hook used in React. So previously I have made a video, a YouTube shorts, where I was teaching about useState hook. That video was incomplete according to me because I wasn't able to teach the useState hook completely due to time constraints, obviously. So this video is going to be complete and I will teach you about the useState hook completely in this video. So let's just hop into our code editor for now. So here I'm using Code Sandbox as my code editor because I will share my code later on with you guys after the video. So let's just start by importing useState from React. So now to call useState, we can do something like this, and the parameter that we put inside these parentheses is actually the default state of the component that we are building. The parameter can be a number, a string, or an object, or maybe even a function. We'll look all about them later on in the video. So for now, I'm just putting 4 as the parameter that is going to be the default state for our component. And actually the useState returns an array as the return value. And now here I can just destructure the array that useState returns, and I am setting up the variables something like this. Well, as you can see, this variable is actually the current state of the component when it renders. Like, it is the initial state of the component when the component renders. And this set counter is actually a function that updates this counter state, the current state of the component. So actually, whenever we update the current state of the component, at that moment, the component actually re-renders. So let's say if I use the set counter function to update this counter state, which is the current state of the component, at that moment, the component will actually re-render. So let's just build something and I can show you how everything works. So as you can see here, I have built this counter app where we can change this value of 4 by 1. This 4 is actually the current state of the component, and it is actually the value of counter variable. So we can change this value by 1 either by adding 1 or subtracting 1. Now I'm able to do this because I'm using this set counter function, and inside the set counter function I am not using this counter variable actually. Instead I'm using this pref counter variable to update the value of counter variable. Now you may ask, Rajiv, what is pref counter? Well, actually pref counter is the previous value of the counter variable. To make it easy, this pref counter is actually the previous value of the current state of the component. Now we can access this previous value of the state inside the set counter function, and that's why I'm using this arrow function to access the previous value of the state. Now you may ask, is there any other way to update the value of this counter variable? Well, yes, you can do by doing something like this. See, if I add this is still working. Now the only difference between using this method and this method is that if I do this, like, what do you think will happen to this when I'll just click on this? Will this 4 become 6 or will it become 5? Well, it will become 5 because right now the value of counter is actually 4. So 4 plus 1 becomes 5, and again 4 plus 1 becomes 5. So if I click on this, nothing serious happens. But if I do this, what do you think will happen? Will this value change from 4 to 6, or will it still become 5? Well, it will become 6. Why? Because right now the value of pref counter is actually 4. So 4 plus 1 becomes 5. And then here, the value of this pref counter is actually 5. So 5 plus 1, now it becomes 6. So that's why this value of 4 becomes 6 when I do this, and 8 and then 10 and so on. You can do the same over here also in this decrease function. See, everything is working fine. Let's just... Well, just to show you that we can use strings inside useState also, I have made some changes to this counter app. See, here if I click this plus button, this string comes over here, and if I subtract something, if I click the subtract button, the subtracting string comes here. So over here I have done almost the same thing, just instead of 4 I have set this state to text, which is actually a string. You can just see here I have done this, and then I am using a function that is text adding to put this adding text over here whenever this plus button is clicked. This is the same thing that I've done previously also, so this should be quite easily understandable, right? So as I previously told that we can use functions as parameter inside useState. So just to show you that, let me just put an arrow function over here, and let me just return 4 so that everything is not broken. See, this is working, right? See, well, we use functions as parameter in useState only when there is some heavy calculation, like mathematical calculations done, because this thing will only happen once, only when the component renders the first time. Like say I'm doing some calculations such as doing some logarithmic calculations, Fibonacci series, doing something, and that is going to be a very heavy calculation. Like in case of Fibonacci, we are going to use recursion, and recursion obviously takes time, and that is a very heavy calculation. So doing that heavy calculation every time your component loads is not a good idea according to me, because the app will become slow, and that's not why we are using React, right? We are using React because we need a fast app. So we use functions as parameter. Well, I cannot show you that right here because I don't have an example right now. So let's just assume that you understand that, right? Now let me just show you something, like a basic example which can maybe just look like a heavy calculation. So let me just write inside useState. See, this thing will only happen once. Okay, so let me just save it, reload it, and now here in console this is showing inside useState, and see, the state is changing again and again, but still this thing is only consoled twice. This is something due to React, but it is only happening once. It is not happening again and again and again. So that is the reason why we use functions as parameter inside useState. Well, I hope you understood useState hook used in React. So this is it for this video, and we'll meet again later.